Well, good evening, sports fans, UFL fans. How are you doing? Well, after a terrible Friday night game, it was a terrible Friday night game between Michigan and Memphis, where it was a boring game. We had 3 straight pretty awesome games to watch. And let's talk about the first one. That was the Saturday afternoon game, which I thought was going to be the game of the weekend. And you could debate and say this was the game of the weekend. But if you thought that the Houston-Birmingham game was better or the DC-San Antonio game, hey, listen, I'm not going to argue with you. Those games were just as good. All games pretty much came, 2 of those games came down to a goal line stand. And one was driving to try to tie the score. But let's talk about the Battlehawks and the Arlington Renegades. Of course, Arlington wins this game 30-15. You may say, well, if you didn't see the game, you may say, well, they doubled up on them. Yeah, but this game came down to a goal line stand. Arlington was up 22-15. St. Louis was driving down. And on 4th down, it was a pick 6 that went the other way for 100 yards. I think the conversion was good. So Arlington wins 30-15. St. Louis goes to 2-2. Arlington is 3-1. And this was a pretty good game. Total yards. There wasn't much offense in this game whatsoever. 209 for Arlington, 156 for St. Louis. And St. Louis has a lot of work to do on our offensive line. Between the Arlington defense and the DC defense last week, Manny Wilkins, who got hurt in this game, and I'm not sure how long he's going to be out for, but welcome Max Duggan. So he may be your quarterback for a while. 209 to 156 passing yards. Arlington had 149 to 78 rushing yards. St. Louis had more, 122 to 73. The big story in this game was turnovers. 3 big turnovers for St. Louis, 1 for Arlington. And sacks. Dallas had 6 sacks for a 40-yard loss. St. Louis only had 2. Time of possession was about even, 32 to 28. First downs and third downs and penalties, and everything was even. It came down to those 3 turnovers, including the 1 big pick 6 at the end. And Arlington gets the win. I did say it would win the game. In fact, I was 3-1 on my picks this week. I've been doing pretty good on my picks this year. Luis Perez, of course, the steady guy, 17 to 25, 149 yards. 1-1 the interception ratio. Manny Wilkins was hurt the first series of the game. Max Duggan, 8 of 17 for 78 yards and 2 picks. Not a good game for him. Jacob Sayers, 61 yards, leading rusher. Max Duggan was second, 42 yards. And I'm sure someone on Arlington defense is going to get the defensive player of the week. I'm taking it to say Chris Odom may just get it. He had 2 sacks, both of them for losses, and 3 tackles. Or maybe Donald Payne, who had 10 tackles. That defense was in Max Duggan's face the whole game. So that was the Saturday afternoon game. Very good game. And another game which I thought would be a lot closer. Well, it was close. It came down to a final drive again. Birmingham, after losing the opener to DC, is now 3-1. Houston falls to 1-3. 23-16 is your final score. And listen, I thought this would be a good game. I didn't think there'd be as much offense as there was, because both offenses have looked terrible this year. But 357 yards for Birmingham, which is a season high. 328 for Houston, which was surprising. Also a high from this year. Houston had more passing yards, 271 to 231. Of course, Birmingham finally found the run game, 126 yards to 64. Almost a 30-30 split down the middle for time of possession. Total plays was even. Third down conversions was about even. First down 70-50 in favor of Houston. This was a good game. Turnovers, there was one big turnover, two turnovers for Birmingham, one for Houston. Of course, the big one came in that last drive when Houston was trying to tie the score. Wasn't meant to be. Matt Corral, 14-25, 185, 2-1. A much better game than last week. Jalen McClendon, remember him? I think he was with the old Vegas Vipers. He looked good, 22-31, 236 yards. Did have one interception. The last one on the last drive. But I'm glad to see him back in the league. I liked him when he was with the Vegas Vipers. Also led the team in rushing with 17 yards. Nothing to brag about, but doesn't make the Houston running game look good. But then again, Jalen McClendon made this offense look a lot more desirable to watch. And listen, they may be 1-3, but the players are still playing hard for C.J. Johnson. Still not a fan of him, even though he won a championship with my Hurricanes back in 2001. He was also a champion with the Saints. But hey, they're still playing hard, and that's good for the league. And finally, the last game of the weekend, the Sunday evening Easter game between San Antonio and DC. San Antonio pulls the upset. They win 24-18. They go to 1-3. DC, which was the only undefeated team, is now 3-1. They're tied with Arlington in the XFL division. Of course, Wade Phillips this week was announced he's on a leave of absence. Jane Jordan is now the interim head coach. And even though the offense of San Antonio wasn't spectacular, they were efficient. But the big play of this game was Sexton's punt for return for a touchdown that went 83 yards, and a nice return too. Total yards, DC dominated, 409 at 219. Passing yards, DC dominated, 300 to 121. Rushing yards, DC led the way. First downs, 19 to 16 in favor of DC. Third down conversions were about even. Total plays, DC had 9 more. Time possession was about even. Once again, the big thing with DC defenders, they're not good in the red zone. And this game came down to a goal line stand, in which obviously San Antonio stood their ground. They went 24-18. And listen, DC came out a little flat in this game. I looked like they came out thinking they're just going to walk to a easy victory, and they should have known better. Because if they saw the film of last week's San Antonio where they played a lot better, that's all I'm saying. Kellen Mond finally had a decent game, 14-20, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. Jordan Ta'amu, 19-3 with 300 yards, had a good game. Still, his skilled receivers need to do a better job. And it's not for a lack of talent, it's execution. Braylon Sanders had 3 catches for 87 yards. Brian Moore McKinley had a wide open catch for a touchdown for almost 40 yards. So it's not like they have people that can catch the ball. They do. Abram Smith was second lead in rushing with 39 yards. Anthony McFarland, 14-55 for 55 yards. And the San Antonio Bombers get their first win. So let's talk about the team rankings for week 4. Take this for what it's worth, but I will give you my opinion anyway. Number 8, of course, is the Memphis Showboats, the loss of Wiz and Hunt. is a killer, and it showed again. They're number 8. Number 7, even though they are playing better, the Houston Roughnecks, I have them at number 7. Number 6, I'm going to go with the Brahmas. Even though the Brahmas have been playing better, they are number 6. Number 5, the Battlehawks, who have a lot of work to do on the offensive line. And I'm sorry, I'm going to put it out there. Whatever the problem the UFL has with A.J. McCarron and Eddie Beck, put your pride on the shelf and give A.J. McCarron a call also, please. I know you got some work to do on the offensive line, but now you lost Manny Wilkins. Is Max Duggan the answer? I'll leave it there. Now, numbers 1 through 4, it's debatable. It is debatable. I'm putting Michigan number 4. I'm going to put Arlington at number 3. I'm putting the champs at number 2. And I'm putting DC at number 1. But listen, you can make the case either one of those teams. Take it for what it's worth. Now, observations for the week. Good job by San Antonio getting their first win. Coach Payton finally got his first win. He looked good last week. His team looked a lot better this week. This week to get the big win against the Defenders. C.J. Johnson, his team continues to play hard for him. I've been tough on him. We all have been tough on him. Let's face it. It's been a tough watch, but they're still playing hard for him. Good for them. Another observation, Ken Wisenhunt not being there this week, it looked like it hurt him. Michigan was not the same team it was under the last 2 weeks under Ken Wisenhunt. He is a bad loss for Memphis and the league. Another observation, I'm glad, even though I hate the fact that my Defenders lost today, for the purposes of the league, it's better that we don't have 2 0-4 teams. I'm hoping Memphis can somehow pull an upset over Birmingham, not because I hate Birmingham. It is not a good look to have a team go 0-5 in an 8-team league. I just put up there. Now, observation, I'm going to go there again. Can someone give A.J. McCarron a call? Like people say he's done. Is he really done? Does he not want to play football? Did him and Andy Beck not get along? Did he speak against the league too much that the league blackballed him? I don't know. But I'm sorry, a lot of these quarterbacks I'm seeing, A.J. McCarron is better than a lot of them. I'll just put it out there. No observation, the attendance continues to be abysmal. Now, this was an Easter weekend, but I'm sorry. The attendance at some of these games, when they are announced, it makes you scratch your head. Were there really 9,000 people at Ford Field for that Friday night game? That is a drop of 1,500 people from the week before. Arlington couldn't crack 10,000. Houston, the announced crowd was just over 6,000. Were there even that many there? And of course, DC had the biggest, 12,700. 12,474. And that stadium only holds, I think, 18,500 for football for a sellout. I'm sorry, there was no way there was 12,000 people there. Again, today's game was going to be difficult. It's an Easter Day game on the evening. I get it. I'm hoping the ratings will continue to get better as we had the opening weekend of both the NBA and the NHL playoffs. I'm not worried about baseball this time because after the novelty of opening day is over with, baseball usually takes a back seat until around Memorial Day weekend when the playoffs for both the NBA and the NHL are pretty much fading away. More teams are out, so people focus on baseball. What else can we say? DC continues to struggle in the red zone. If they don't want to repeat what happened 2 years ago, they went 9-1 and last game, or they started showing too many chinks in their armor, they have to improve their red zone offense. And it's not because they don't have the players. They do. Birmingham kind of found the running game this week. They have a long way to go, though. Arlington, they're a lot better team as I thought they would be this year, but they still have some offense to work on also. E.J. Perry is a Memphis quarterback. You know how I feel about E.J. Perry. Again, you might want to give A.J. McCarron a call. He's out there. I'm just saying. And Bryce Perkins continues to look good. Jalen McClendon looked awesome. So, listen, the league continues to look good overall. I'll be curious to see what the ratings are when we get them on Tuesday. But the only blemish on this league right now is the attendance. I know people are saying that this wasn't designed to be a butts in the seats league. If that's the case, why do they brag so much about the fans in St. Louis and DC? I'm sorry. People being in the stadium matters. It matters for an atmosphere. And I'm sorry to The Rock and Danny Garcia. You may want to open the Avalok Vince McMahon playbook of 2020 when the crowds and the ratings were great. You may want to start listening to the fans more. They did, and XFL 2020 was great. The only problem with XFL 2020, we were hit with the old Charlie 19er. The league shut down, and it screwed us at what could have been an awesome league. Comments down below what your opinion like to know. For the love of football, we'll talk to you later.